What is going on, dorks? I'm your man Andy, and today we are going to be taking a spoiler-free look at the last installment of the Fox X-Men franchise, Dark Phoenix. So, first thing first, we here at Dorks Next Door try to stay as positive as possible. Jason and I both love and appreciate the superhero genre, and we often defend some of the weaker movies. But with that being said, the last installment in the Fox X-Men franchise was a rough way to end the series. Dark Phoenix overall was a very poor film. It had its moments, but overall was a very disappointing time. It kind of seemed like no one wanted to be there, especially Jennifer Lawrence. And it was just a shame to see a franchise that has been around for such a long time end in such a disappointing way. In all honesty, I fully blame Fox for these lackluster and thrown together films because it is very obvious that they don't really care about the stories we love and cherish as comic book fans. The Dark Phoenix saga is a beautifully told story and is something you can't just halfway do. The overall problem with this film was the writing and directing. I mean, you can tell very quickly that the director, Simon Kinberg, has never really done a big budget movie like this before and probably never will. And it really suffers because of that. The entire story to me was just very bland and boring and didn't really fit. It kind of seemed like everything was just thrown together to see what would stick, and it all falls apart extremely fast. The dialogue in this film is very poor and cringy, from Jean Grey saying the same thing several times to Cyclops dropping a very cringy F-bomb. It just seems like everything was thrown together. The CGI in this movie somehow is way worse than the movie that came out in 2000, and the plot and story were pointless and at times were really dumb. This movie also suffers from what most of the X-Men movies suffer from, and that is that it takes these characters that you don't really care about and try to make them the center of the story. This entire story is supposed to be about Jean Grey and how she handles obtaining the Phoenix Force, but honestly, going into this movie, no one could care less about her. Which is really just a shame because of how great of an actress Sophie Turner really is. I still believe with the right writing and directing, she could make for a very compelling Jean Grey. The same can be said for Cyclops, who should be one of the main focuses of the X-Men universe, but he often takes the back seat to characters like Mystique and Beast. Speaking of Mystique, the more I see her in these films, the more I hate her character. And it's really not her fault, but really it's the fault of the writing and the directing, and how they have really just ruined her character every time she shows up. And they even do the same to Professor X in this movie. They try to take a character that has been built up since the beginning of the franchise, and in the last film, they completely try to change who he is. It just doesn't add up or really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But there were some positives to take away. Obviously, Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy were the shining parts of this film. They both were outstanding throughout and did the best they could with what they were given. These two guys, plus Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, and Hugh Jackman, are truly the MVPs of the Fox X-Men franchise. Because even in subpar films, they can still show you why they are truly fantastic actors. I also enjoyed the first couple minutes of this film, from the team going to space and helping with the government. It was really cool to see them working together. Also, Cyclops has this ray shooter thing and their Blackbird, which was kind of cool, I guess. But in general, this is just a sad way to see the Fox X-Men franchise end. A franchise that has certainly had its ups and its downs throughout the years, but they still deserved a much better send-off than what they got. It really is a bittersweet ending to the franchise, knowing that they will be taken care of in the MCU, but still realizing that some of these characters that we love have drizzled out and ended in such a disappointing way. And for that, I'm giving Dark Phoenix 1.5 dorks out of 5. Do you agree with me? Tell me in the comments down below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss out on a video. Follow us on Twitter at Dorks Next Door, and you can follow me on Twitter at I'mAndyYork. Now, if you guys excuse me, I'm going to go eat my Ben & Jerry's ice cream and cry on a pillow while I watch Logan. See ya.